What is up everybody, it's your boy Cameron Bash here and welcome back to the Movement channel, where today we've got yet another exciting leak to discuss when it comes to WWE 2K22, featuring a bunch of hidden characters, secret renders and unused alternate attires. This comes off the back of many awesome leaks that we've been covering here on the channel lately, such as the leaks relating to Bray Wyatt's unused audio, as well as the leaks that revealed over 20 characters had been removed from WWE 2K22, and while you can find the links to both of those videos in the description down below, I just wanted to remind you all that we're bringing a lot of this news and information to YouTube before anyone else. So if you want to be on the cutting edge when it comes to everything going on in the pro wrestling video games community, make sure you hit that subscribe button and don't forget to share this video with your friends so that they can be kept in the loop of things as well. With that out the way, we're going to dive right into the meat of what we have to share with you all today, and that of course has to start with a shout out to the main man himself, Canada Soldier. He's been the person at the forefront of many of the leaks that we've been covering here on the channel, and today is no different. As in his most recent post to Reddit, he has managed to find dozens and dozens of unused renders within the files of WWE 2K22, and with them comes the reveal of secret attires and more cut content from the game. So let's see what Soldier had to say about these before we check out the images for ourselves. Attached will be a bunch of notable renders left in the game files. Now unfortunately, this will be a pretty hollow exploration, as due to the halted development and release of mod tools, I'm not able to view in-game renders myself. But I was lucky enough to have this folder passed on to me by someone with access to some tools. This folder contains the overwhelming majority of the game's renders, including most DLC, but it should be noted that I myself have no access to mod tools, nor any of the betas. But hope to soon with the rest of you once they are completed with development. So, what exactly are you looking at? We'll be going over the main renders directory of WWE 2K22 from version 1.09. Some notable renders missing are Alexa, Fiend/21, and Roman Reigns, Default and WrestleMania 35, amongst others. And while some people like Kurt Angle are in the folder, it isn't any confirmation of progress made on any of these characters. Also, these renders aren't at all representative of what attires would have been included either. This point will become more apparent when we go over the alternate attires in part 2. Whilst a lot of these might be indicative of drop plans for 2K21/2K22, nothing here should be taken nearly as authoritatively as we could with the theme songs list, as there's only so much to infer without the context of all the game's files. So, before we dive into these images, I just wanted to start by saying that I've had a quick skim through these already, and despite the post mentioning DLC renders, those are not included in these image packs. I wanted to get that out of the way, as I know 2K in particular will take action and flag videos that leak DLC content early, but rest assured 2K, none of that is in here, just other fun cut content. So, with that out of the way, let's check out what we've got here. Okay, so the first segment we have here, part 1, hidden wrestlers and wrestlers not in the game. So kicking us off at the top of this list, we have the Lita model, which was featured in WWE 2K20. That is followed again by another model used in 2K20, this one being the Kurt Angle model. Canada Soldier making sure to leave a disclaimer here, again, placeholder, likely indicative of plans to include him, but it wouldn't have been this version. Next up we see a Matt Hardy, again I believe this is the one that was used in 2K20, and again just a placeholder for a time when Matt Hardy was going to be included in the game, maybe even for 2K21. Placeholder roster portrait type B, Undertaker 7th variant alternate attire. So it looks like even more Undertaker models were planned for the game, even though this one doesn't have a specific portrait at this point in time. Next up we have the Big Show, perhaps alluding to him being in 2K21 before he went over to AEW. Ric Flair coming in next, with the note, assigned to Hidden Ric Flair 91 in version 1.12, however the in-game model is a much more modern Ric Flair. This is then followed up by even more Ric Flair models. Alternate 1 for Ric Flair 91, doesn't exist in-game yet to my knowledge. This looks like it could have possibly been plans for My Rise, or be coming in the future as part of a My Faction pack. Well, I'm more doubtful of that due to it being more of a manager's attire. Alternate 2 for Ric Flair 91, again doesn't exist in the game yet to his knowledge. Assigned to Hidden Shawn Michaels 97 in version 1.12. I believe this is a render that we have seen before from various modders and leakers on Twitter. Assigned to Hidden Mankind in version 1.12. Again, another image we've seen before. Unused Maurice render to my knowledge. Just seems they went with a different one when it came to finalizing 2K22. Unassigned to Hidden Farouk 98 in version 1.12. Again, this could possibly be something that's coming as part of my faction, or was cut from the game altogether. Assigned to Hidden Godfather in version 1.12. Another theory is perhaps these characters could be getting added to the game, in the same way that many other My Rise characters was added to the game previously. Assigned to Hidden Rock 98 in version 1.12. Placeholder for Rock 98 alternate attire, doesn't yet exist in-game. Assigned to Hidden Triple H 98 in version 1.12. Placeholder roster portrait type B, assigned to Hidden Corey Graves in version 1.12. Not assigned in the game, meant for removed Aleister Black. And obviously Aleister Black, now known as Malachi Black, is in AEW, and that's likely the main reason for him being removed from the game. Assigned to Hidden Old Man Bret Hart in version 1.12, I believe. Now again, this could potentially be something coming in the future, but if I had to guess, this is likely something from My Rise or cut content from My Rise. Placeholder roster portrait type B, assigned to Hidden Seth Rollins My Faction in version 1.12. Placeholder roster portrait type B, assigned to Hidden King Booker in version 1.10. He got a brand new render in update 1.12 along with his inclusion. So the way this King Booker portrait has been updated over the last few patches could be evidence that some of these other more recent updates to the portraits could be clues that these characters are going to be coming as part of a free update like the My Rise characters did. Assigned to My Rise version of Mustafa Ali, even though his default model sports this attire, this render is still assigned to his My Rise version. This render is for the removed Nash Carter, which we obviously know is not going to be a part of the DLC anymore. Placeholder roster portrait type B, placeholder for Boa, Xia Li manager for her DLC gimmick. Xia Li has both a wrestler and manager slot, remains to be seen whether he's included. I wouldn't get my hopes up though, writes Canada Soldier. Pretty interesting to know either way, and could be a clue that points to us getting our first DLC manager as part of this game. And finally on this page we have another placeholder roster portrait type B, and this is a placeholder for Mai Ying, now known as Wendy Cho in NXT 2.0, and this was likely meant for a tie and show trio DLC pack with Boa and Xia Li. However, seems like we're only getting Xia Li this July, writes Canada Soldier. So that does it for part 1. Moving into part 2, alternate attires. Canada Soldier writes, now as it pertains to My Faction and attires, a lot of characters with My Faction alternate attires have extra renders in this folder. But only 50% of the time does the placeholder render actually represent the final published attire in-game. And then for the examples of this, we first have this Becky Lynch one, which as you can see is pretty much the same attire from the placeholder to in the game. However, when we move into these next ones, you can obviously see that this Tyler Breeze placeholder is a lot different to the one that ends up being in the game. And finally, another really drastic one, this placeholder for AJ Styles in a suit is obviously nothing like what ends up being in the game. So with that, here's all of the alternate attire placeholders. Here we have Seth Rollins, accessible, Seth Rollins 20, another accessible one we have, Seth Rollins, inaccessible, contains both My Rise Money in the Bank 2020 attire and Showcase Rey Mysterio attire as alternate, placeholder roster portrait type B, Seth Rollins inaccessible, My Faction version with unique moveset, placeholder roster portrait type B, placeholder for Seth Rollins, red jacket / main, alternate attire, placeholder roster portrait type B, placeholder for Undertaker alternate attire, all DLC accounted for, this is the 7th. Placeholder roster portrait type B, placeholder for $1 Million Man alternate attire, placeholder for Mickie James alternate attire 1, placeholder for Mickie James alternate attire 2, placeholder for Randy Orton alternate attire, placeholder for The Miz current alternate attire 1, placeholder for The Miz current alternate attire 2, placeholder for R-Truth alternate attire, placeholder for Natalya alternate attire, placeholder for Naomi alternate attire, placeholder for Goldberg alternate attire, attire and model both in-game, just hidden, placeholder for Titus alternate attire, placeholder for Lana alternate attire, My Faction card artwork suggests gold attire, see following pics. Lana My Faction 3, Lana My Faction 4. Placeholder for Samoa Joe alternate attire, not showcase alternate, and this one just looks crazy with the metal arm on Samoa Joe. Placeholder for Tyler Breeze alternate attire, likely the previously leaked NXT Breeze. Placeholder accurate for Becky alternate attire 1 on community creations as of 1.12. Placeholder accurate for Becky alternate attire 1 on CC as well as of 1.12. Placeholder for Becky alternate attire 3. Placeholder for Charlotte alternate attire 1. Placeholder for Asuka alternate attire, likely WrestleMania My Faction on CC as of 1.12. Placeholder for Carmella alternate attire, likely unfinished model, see next. And here we see an unfinished model of Carmella. Placeholder for Dana Brooks alternate attire 1. Placeholder for Dana Brooke alternate attire 2. Placeholder for Peyton Royce alternate attire 1. Placeholder for Peyton Royce alternate attire 2. Same picture I know, but label indicates second alternate attire. Placeholder for Charlotte 15. Slot exists in-game, no model, render is unassigned. This is something that we've seen from a previous 2K showcase, but could definitely be coming back as part of My Faction. Placeholder for Charlotte 15 alternate attire. Placeholder for Becky Lynch 15. Slot exists in-game, no model, render is assigned. Placeholder for Becky Lynch 15 alternate attire. Placeholder for Bayley 15. Slot exists in-game, no model, render is assigned. Comes with old Hugger theme in-game and entrance. Placeholder for Bayley 15 alternate attire. Placeholder for Sasha Banks 15. Slot exists in-game, no model, render is assigned. Comes with old theme in-game, no Snoop Dogg and entrance. Placeholder for Sasha Banks 15 alternate attire. Placeholder roster portrait type B. Unused Cedric Alexander slot, Hurt Business. Placeholder roster portrait type B. Unused Shelton Benjamin slot, Hurt Business. Placeholder for X-Pac alternate attire. Placeholder roster portrait type B. Placeholder for X-Pac, DX My Faction. And finally, placeholder roster portrait type B. Placeholder for Road Dogg Jesse James, DX My Faction. So there we have it folks, a whole dump load of unused renders found in the files of WWE 2K22 with a nice bit of variety to them. Some of them we've definitely seen before, some are brand new, and some of them are just plain weird, especially when it comes to some of those random placeholders. We're now left in this new and interesting situation, as when it comes to most of the assets you've seen here today, the likelihood is that it's just cut content that'll never see the light of day. But there is a small chance that some of the stuff here could actually still be released into the game, as I already stated, in a very similar way to that of My Rise characters. So we're just gonna have to hold on tight for now and see what's to come. What do you all make of these leaked renders? Make sure to let us know in the comment section down below, and while you're down there, don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe for more WWE 2K22 content. Thanks very much for watching this video, we hope you all have a fantastic day and we'll see you soon for another one.
Oh come on, what the hell is going on here? Wait, no, that's impossible. No, what the hell is he doing here?